Welcome to Run the Day, the daily sports show. I'm your host Anthony. To my left for you guys, maybe I don't know. It's Joseph Silva, my only other guest on the panel today. Joe, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm doing a lot better than some of the All-Star snubs, if we're being honest here.
There was a lot. So what I did for this. Obviously, you guys watched my baseball performance last week, and it was outright embarrassing if we're being honest. So I went on Reddit and I got all of the super fans' opinions, and I got them packaged right here for you. But today, yeah, we're gonna be talking about some MLB All-Star reactions, I guess. So if that interests you, make sure to subscribe, drop your comments in the chat, show love, do all that. Whoop de whoop, whoop de whoop, whoop de whoop. Where do you want to start with this, Joseph?
I say we can start with the National League
Okay.
because the National League, I think, kind of did it right for the most part.
Okay.
Because if you look at it, like Will Smith, Hunter Goodman, yes, those are the two best catchers in the NL. And yeah, you can make the argument like Ellie doesn't belong, but who from the Reds are you going to put on that roster? Ashcraft hasn't made enough starts. Hunter Green has not made enough starts, and no one else offensively contributes. So yeah, you can call Trey Turner and Geraldo Perdomo a start. You can call them snubs. But tell me which Red you're going to put over Ellie De La Cruz.
Fair. I don't have an answer to that. I think Ellie has been their best guy. I saw a lot of people complaining on the NL side about Trey Turner missing.
Yeah.
He's the hits leader in the NL, so it is kind of a surprise. But how much do you think that really matters when it comes to the All-Star game?
I mean, the hits leader is a big, big thing. But just going back to it is every team needs their one representative. So Ellie, again, there's no Red you would rather have on that roster than Ellie. Then you look at the rest of the infield. You're like, Freddie is solid. Alonso is solid. Ketel Marte are all the backups, right? So Pete Alonso can stay. Matt Olson, we're going to talk about him in a second. And then you have Eugenio Suarez, which you need another third baseman. And then Brendan Donovan is the lone Cardinal representative. So there's not really a place you can put Trey Turner on this roster, unfortunately, because the outfield in the NL is so damn good that unfortunately Turner got screwed.
Yeah. Well, then who else would you say could have been one of those NL snubs?
I think the main snub, because they play the same position, is Michael Busch.
Yeah, I got that down too.
He is way, way better than Matt Olson on the year. Like, just reading it off for you. Busch this year is hitting 297. Olson's hitting 267. Busch has 18 home runs to Olson's 17. Olson's driven in 2 more runs, but RBIs do not matter. Olson has a lower on base, a lower slugging, a lower OPS, and a WRC plus almost 30 points lower than Busch, who has, by the way, the 5th best WRC plus in baseball. That's the snub everyone should be talking about here. Is if you're running 3 first basemen, which you should because the first basemen are phenomenal this year, Busch should absolutely be one of them. And I think he is having a better season than Trey Turner is.
So the reason for him not being an All-Star, at least what everyone was saying online, was that the voting happened before he kind of exploded this season. So I feel like that kind of raises problems with how the MLB handles voting. Would you agree? Would you disagree? What do you think about that?
Well, the voting's done by the players, and I think I'm going to pull it up. I don't know when player voting ends, but if I had to guess, it would be a week or 2 before they announce the rosters. So let's just see. Batting leaders 2025. We're going to cut it off. Let's go end of June. I think that's enough time to get everybody's votes in. When it's not, then it's fine, but I don't think 1 week will skew his stats that much. I hate that Fangraphs takes up all the RAM on my computer. It pisses me off sometimes when I'm doing work on the site. But fuck it, we ball.
We always ball.
All right. Update the leaderboard. So this is from the beginning of the season to the end. Let's just go Chicago Cubs. I love you, Fangraphs, but I hate your website sometimes. I really do. Because there's no basketball.
Have a good year.
Yeah. Michael Busch still has a 146 WRC plus.
Where do you think that would ballpark rank him?
I'll say, well, we could just do it. It's still 12 points better than Olsen.
Jeez.
So that would put him 15th.
So do you think he's the best Cub?
No, the best Cub is Tucker and PCA.
Okay. Yeah, very PCA cool. I put in the thumbnail, bro. I did not know how young he was. I did not know he's 23. I feel like he doesn't get the hype that like Ellie was getting and like Soto when they like popped off young, you know? Which is weird to me.
In the offseason, I am going to react to my top 50 player list, which, spoiler alert, I picked the wrong defensively oriented catcher to make the list. Real ones know Patrick Bailey over Cal Raleigh, and that has aged fine, if we're being honest. But if we're being really honest, yeah, that just like shit. But the thing with PCA is like he was this top prospect, but he just couldn't hit a lick his first year in MLB. He didn't have like the underlying metrics that kind of sold me on, like, for example, a Patrick Bailey or an Isaac Paredes, who I think probably were my two most controversial picks on the list. I haven't gotten back and read the comments, but I know those two were probably the wildest takes I had.
Hey, Isaac Paredes was cool for a minute, though.
No, Paredes, I think, not to spoil the AL, but we'll talk about him in a second.
Okay.
But the big thing is, like, he just had a high whiff rate. He didn't show, like, that much power. He was cool defensively, but he didn't have the tools that Ellie does. Ellie is a true 5-tool player, or not 5-tool. He can't make contact. His swing is like Swiss cheese, if we're being honest here. But he has phenomenal power. He has phenomenal speed. He has phenomenal range, and he has a phenomenal arm at shortstop. And he just makes a lot of cool plays. Like, I was hanging out with my ex's parents at the dog park, and my parents were coming too because they were at the Dodger game, and they saw Ellie, and they told me, they're like, dude, you were right about Ellie. He is so much fun to watch. And I told him, like, yeah, he ran first to home. And if I remember, like 11.6 seconds, something ridiculous like that. And even my ex's parents, who do not watch baseball whatsoever, are like, wow.
I know this is off topic. This is completely off topic. But did you see the hypothetical going on this weekend between Joey Chestnut and Usain Bolt?
I did not.
Okay. I want to ask you this because I feel like you would be a great opinion. You have to eat a hot dog, and then you have to run at 100-meter, okay? Who wins in that race, Chestnut or Usain Bolt?
Usain Bolt.
You think?
Because here's the thing. I think the hot dog does not take that much time. The 100-meter takes a long time compared to the hot dog.
I feel like the gap, though, Chestnut's probably closer to Usain Bolt in running speed, like percentage-wise, than Usain is to Chestnut hot dog eating-wise.
No. Usain Bolt's the fastest person ever.
Okay, but Joey Chestnut's been doing this for 15 years. Usain Bolt didn't have that longevity.
Well, yeah, because speed fades, but even a few years ago, he's running fast. Like, he ran a 40, and it would have been the fastest 40 in combine history.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's get back to baseball. I'm sorry. I just thought of that hypothetical again, and I'm like, dude, it's so – because I feel like Usain would win, but when people were breaking it down in the comments, like, it made so much sense for Joey to win.
Well, but we could. My ex is a Swiftie, and like you hear about the clowning all the time, like, oh, we're getting rep TV because here's all the evidence. It's convincing, doesn't mean it's true.
That's true. Again, we're talking hypotheticals though, so it's a little different than Taylor Swift. Was anything else about the NL you found interesting?
Yeah, because there are two players that on the initial roster that were announced that are not going to be on the team. That is, of course, Corbin Carroll of the Diamondbacks and Chris Sale of your Atlanta Braves. Okay. And what's fun about these two is they're not the lone representatives for their teams, which means you can get really weird with it now in terms of who you want to replace them.
Okay. So who are you thinking?
So if I'm being lame and I think who they're actually going to do, I think Juan Soto is going to get in over Corbin in for Corbin Carroll. Like he's got a 155 WRC plus, almost a 400 on base. Yeah, we can clown him for not being worth the money. And at this point, he kind of isn't. But it's 1 year of like a 13-year deal, so we're not judging him too much here. But I want to go a little fun and be a little weird with this. I think the Cubs are way, way underrepresented here. If you watched last week's show about World Series odds, I think the Cubs are by far the class of the National League this year.
Yeah.
And we really only have 3 All-Stars. I think is a little disgraceful, a little shameful if we're being honest here. So I think it'd be really fun if like Seiya Suzuki makes the All-Star team because he is having a fantastic year. He's got a 141 WRC plus, 25 home runs, 77 driven in, got a lot of power. Dude, Seiya Suzuki is a lot of fun. And of course, I can't be a Dodger fan and not mention the fact that Andy Pages is having a phenomenal year. He's got a 141 WRC plus. He's got great defense in the outfield. I have to mention it. He would be third on the list if we're being honest here, because it would be very clearly Soto. If you want to be fun, you can say Suzuki. If you want to get wild, you say Pages.
I'm sorry. I got a little thrown off. There's a guy trying to sell basketball jerseys in the Instagram chat to the chat. So, but no, I agree. I think it'd be nice to see Andy Pages in there. I don't love. I'm honestly an LA sports team hater. I think officially, but I think it would be cool to see a guy who kind of just like broke out this year to make it finally. What are you gonna say?
I say the thing is like the All-Star field in the NL is so stacked. Yeah, it's like the breakout picks are fun, but you got to reward the better players too. Is if you're looking at breakout guys like Matthew Boyd, Mackenzie Gore, Robbie Ray. I know he has a Cy Young, but he's been playing like shit. And the true breakout is James Wood. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, James Wood. That's true too. James Wood's been a dog. How much to shave an eyebrow, bro? I am not shaving an eyebrow. I'm sorry. Joseph, would you shave an eyebrow before your birthday trip this weekend?
No. I know San Francisco's weird, but it's not one eyebrow kind of weird.
What someone in the chat, shout out Chol_03 said, what do you think about Bobby Witt?
I think Bobby Witt is a perfectly good pick. Like, yeah, 3 shortstops in the American League is wild, especially the fact that I said you can't put 3 shortstops when talking about Trey Turner. But he's a better player than Trey Turner is. So I'm perfectly fine with Witt being there. And the infield for the American League is a little weak. Like, they don't have the hitter depth of the NL. So, yeah, Bobby Witt deserves a spot, in my opinion.
What about him or Lindor? That's the argument in the Instagram chat right now. You want to just transition to the AL?
I say, I'll do the argument, and then we got to talk about who's replacing Chris Sale, then we'll go to the AL.
Okay, let's go.
So if we're talking like this season, it's Lindor, but if you're talking who I'd rather have, it's Bobby Witt Jr., just because he's got such a better hit tool than Lindor. And I get he's not the defender that Lindor is. That's like saying, he doesn't have the mid-range shot of Michael Jordan. That's an all-timer right there.
Yeah.
But, he's still a really good defender with a lot of speed. He's a true 5-tool player, and Lindor is a 3, maybe 4-tool player, if we're being honest here. So, yeah, give me Witt over Lindor any day.
And then we got questions about Soto being snubbed, which we talked about already. But I will say I saw people on Reddit. I think the most liked Reddit post under the All-Star reactions was they couldn't believe that Tatis was picked over Soto. So what do you think about that?
I think it's first half of the first half or later success is Soto did not look good for the first quarter of the season while Tatis was playing like the MVP. And I get the numbers favor Soto, but Tatis in and of himself has had a very, very good year. And don't get me wrong, you will not find a bigger Fernando Tatis Jr. hater than me. It's obvious. But I think he brings something that, Soto can't. He's got a little more swag. He's a lot more fun to watch. Yeah, so I would take Tatis just because the gap defensively is so much greater, while that WRC plus gap, again, I think is negligible given how much of a negative that Soto is defensively. They're about even, and Tatis is more fun. So
There you go. All right, let's talk about Chris Sale now, right? Who should be the replacement?
again, there's the hometown option and then the good option. I think it should be Christopher Sanchez. He has had a fantastic year. He's got a 3.02 ERA over 100 innings, 9.7 strikeouts per nine, 2.5 walks per nine, 0.6 home runs per nine, and a 2.86 FIP. But if you want to have another Brave, especially because I feel like I'm just knocking down every Braves representative, and Acuna's barely safe in my opinion too.
Hey.
He's not played that much. He's been phenomenal, but he's not played that much.
Dog check.
But Spencer Schwellenbach, he's got 110 innings, similar ERA, less strikeouts, a lot less walks per nine, but more home runs per nine, which equals out to a 3.20 FIP. I would just give it to Schwellenbach because I think this Atlanta crowd would like to see one of their own throw an inning in the All-Star game. So yeah, give it to him, but Sanchez is objectively the better pitcher, and depending on who pitches this weekend, he's going to get a spot for sure.
All right. Well, let's transition over to the AL now. But before we do that, let's run our little ad break really quick. Let's give a huge shout out to the GOAT, Boom Fantasy, code RTP. Now, this morning, right, I was low-key I feel like I go through the same script every time. So I went on Boom to see what kind of bets are going on for this next week. And they actually we got MLB, obviously. This is an MLB show. We got the WNBA, which we always say in the ad as well. But we got NBA Summer League now on Boom Fantasy. So if you're an NBA watcher, there you go. There's that. And then UFC this weekend is also going to be on Boom Fantasy. They also have esports and stuff. So, yeah, there's my love for Boom Fantasy. Scan the code on the screen or click the link in our YouTube description. Also, as you guys know, we're running daily trivia in the Discord. So you could click the link in our Instagram bio, click the link in this YouTube description down below, and you could run trivia. The winner is going to get a $25 Amazon gift card. All you got to do is answer a question a day. I know you got the time for that. We ball, baby. Let's talk about the AL.
If you listen to our 2-leg parlay I threw out last week, you would have made some money.
I made money because I put that in. You're right. Do you want to go again? Do you have anything you like today or not?
Top of my head, but you know what? After this, I'll look at it and I'll throw out another 2-leg for you guys.
All right, there you go. And then also, I believe they're going to have parlays or options for the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby as well. And I love betting on the Home Run Derby, man. There's just nothing like it.
James Wood is the winner of the Home Run Derby. You heard it here first.
Okay, I'm taking all James Wood overs then. Let's talk about the AL. Now, I feel like the topic of conversation for the AL was Julio Rodriguez. So I feel like we should open with that, right?
Yeah. Now, I said, when I argued Tatis over Soto, I'm like, he is so much better defensively. He's a better base runner and all the intangibles that go into making a similar WAR stat between the two of them. And I get that. But if you have a 101 WRC plus, you are excluded from the conversation here. I'm calling you average. 1 point does not matter. You're barely below average. You are 51st percentile here. So I don't care how good of a defender is. I don't care how good of a base runner he is. He has been playing like hot ass this year. And there's so many more guys that could have gone in over him. I don't understand the thought process behind it whatsoever. His WAR is not exceptional. His defense is not exceptional. His base running is not exceptional. Dalton Varsho is a better defender. If you want to put a defender in there, put fucking Denzel Clark in there. You're going to see some highlights. It's just a name pick at this point. And they're not like a first half team that you feel like you need to honor or respect. It's the brand name. And I don't think he deserves it even remotely. Like, I'd put fucking Lawrence Butler over him. And I like Lawrence Butler, don't get me wrong. But he's like the 12th best outfielder in the American League right now, which shows you like how bad, or I don't want to say bad, but like how below everybody else Julio is this year.
The argument I was seeing, and I know you kind of addressed this for Julio defenders, is his defense and just the outfield being weak, which is 2 points you made. But yeah, I mean, So you would take Lawrence Butler over him? Is that really what you said?
Yes, because he's a better bat. Okay, let's see. Let me pull up Baseball Savant's leaderboard here for outs above average because I don't think it is anywhere near where we're thinking here for Julio. So, of course, number one, Pete Armstrong, Ceddanne Rafaela. If we're going on defense, should have been an all-star over Julio. Denzel Clark should have been an all-star over Julio. Jake Meyer should have been an all-star over Julio. And that's 3 guys that should have been all-stars over Julio if we're just going based purely off defense. But what do I know?
You know ball. Simple. Another guy was Bregman. A lot of people were mad that Bregman was an all-star even though he hasn't played him in a month and a half.
But the time he was playing was electric.
But it's kind of like the Soto argument, no, except minus the recency bias.
Yeah. Because I think he would have kept it up, though.
Yeah. You don't think – okay, don't disrespect Acuna, though, bro. Because Acuna's rolling. You know, like Acuna would have done it if it was earlier in the season too, you know?
I say Acuna's been hot for sure. So if you're going to vote Acuna in and not complain about his lack of games – that he missed a month and a half. Don't complain about Alex Bregman then.
The recency bias stuff.
That is true.
What other takes did you have about the AL? I didn't have much about the AL. Mine was more about the NL.
For me, I think Brandon Lau should not be an all-star.
Wow.
Brent Rooker should not be an all-star. Is because a lot of the names you're going to see that are snubbed, like, where's George Springer? He could be the backup DH behind O'Hearn. He's having a better year than Rooker offensively, just as a pure DH. Again, 148 WRC plus to a 131. He's played about half his games as DH. Yeah, just put him there, especially because I think the AL outfield, again, I will talk about who I think should replace Julio in a second, but there's a lot of more options you can put. There are very few DHs you could put over Rooker. And Springer's just a better bat than him this year. And then for who replaces Julio, give me Randy. If you want a Mariners outfielder with some swag that shows up in big moments, give me some MF named Randy.
Yeah.
He is cool. He's cold. He is a way better hitter than Julio this year. Easily there for your representation. And I don't know if this came up a lot in Reddit, but Isaac Paredes got snubbed. I haven't seen it a lot, but he was snubbed hard.
I didn't see him anywhere on Reddit. I'm not going to lie. I completely forgot about his name until you brought him up earlier. And that, honestly, he was like one of those guys that I loved because I just thought he was just cool as hell. But, yeah, he didn't come up at all on Reddit.
Yeah, I think he was snubbed. I think he was better than Lau. I think he's better than Chisholm. But, you know, Chisholm is better than Lau. So by transitive property, you could put Chisholm at second, Lau or Paredes at third. Is the AL was a mess. And aside from, you know, like Kikuchi, Shane Smith, DeGrom, Buxton, and O'Hearn, those are the only lone representatives, and they all kind of deserve it for the most part. So, yeah, you could say, like, Joe Ryan is an all-star stub, but at that point, you're like, well, who would I rather have? Would I rather have Joe Ryan or would I rather have Joe Ryan and Joe Adele or Byron Buxton and Kikuchi? And I would have Buxton and Kikuchi.
Yeah, I think it was they're the Nationals, right? Joe Ryan?
Twins.
The Twins. There was a Twins fan. He said Joe Ryan and Johan Duran still not being an all-star hurts. And I was like, yeah, I could imagine. That sucks, bro.
Yeah, I say the one he would be closest to is known minority lover Josh Hader, but I think Hader has been slightly better than Duran, but you can make the argument for both if you're being honest.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
I say since we're here, we could talk about Clayton Kershaw.
Oh, I did see that too. Do they always have a legend pick, or what was that?
They just added that. Because you get situations like 2014 Derek Jeter, who was not great that season, if we're being honest here. Getting the start at shortstop for the American League, it's just better to have the legend pick, especially because I was there for his 3,000 strikeout. It was electric. And I know I've been saying this since 2022, but this has to be his last year, right? It just has to be.
So
So
the
just
thing
set
about
them off.
sorry, but the thing about the legend pick that kind of drives me crazy because the NBA did this too, where the year Wade and Dirk and both announced their retirements, they both were legend all-stars, and they like kind of made it a thing, like, oh, we're gonna do this every year. And then after that, they never did it again. So I don't understand. Like it's just a free all-star pick, And no one's gonna say, well, Clayton Kershaw's a however many time all-star, but that one year he was a legend all-star. Like it just goes down as an all-star. So
Well, he's still pitching good. It's not like he's been, a bad player like, the first legend pick, Miguel Cabrera. Cabrera was not good. Like, Kershaw has still been great. Like, he's got a 3.43 ERA, 32 strikeouts in however many starts he's done this year. He's not been, Clayton Kershaw, but he's still been a good pitcher.
Has he been an all-star, though?
He's not been an all-star, though. But just because there's so many damn pitchers in the National League, like a 118 ERA plus, yeah, that's perfectly fine for your legend pick. Because what other legends will you say? I'm not calling Paul Goldschmidt a legend, okay? No matter, and this is not a big Dodger fan that's been traumatized by that man. It's just there are not that many people you can consider legends. Like Max Scherzer, he's not been the Max Scherzer. Like Kershaw's been a better pitcher than Scherzer this year. You can say Justin Verlander, but he's playing like Celtic Shaq right now. He is still winless playing for the Giants. He is not getting 300 wins this year. So Unk's got to let it go, man. Kershaw was very clearly the legend pick for the league this year by a mile.
So with the legend pick, does that take another position? Like, would that take a position away from another pitcher or no?
Doesn't take a position away from another pitcher.
Okay, then it's fine. I don't know. I think it's Mickey Mouse, bro. Like at one point he was an all-star. We give him his flowers. They don't got to give him a legend pick unless he retires this year.
Yeah, but I don't think, or it's Dave Roberts managing, but if I'm looking at it, like if I was managing who I would kind of have throw the innings for the NL, like obviously Paul Skeens is going to start. Then Logan Webb's pitching the second, Wheeler the third. Let's go Mackenzie Gore for the fourth, Yoshi for the fifth, Peralta 6, and then 7, 8, 9 is Rodriguez, Adam Diaz. Kershaw doesn't necessarily have to pitch.
Have him close it.
No, I've seen Kershaw close too many times. I'm still traumatized by 2019, damn it.
I guess, imagine, though, that he closes it and the Dodgers get home court advantage in the World Series because of a Kershaw All-Star Game performance.
They got rid of that, thank God.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, that's my favorite rule in baseball. I've been wanting the NBA to adopt that.
Because here's the thing, is they've gotten rid of that since 2017. Because, granted, it didn't really matter that much, but the greatest World Series of my lifetime, 2016, Game 7 was played in Cleveland because the AL won that All-Star game. The Cubs had the better record. And you're telling me, like, all the cinematics that happened at Game 7 would not have been cooler at Wrigley Field?
Okay, I guess. We're thinking about money, though. I'm thinking about the love of the game. So what does All-Star mean to these players now? Just there's no backing or what?
No, All-Star, still is a big thing. Yeah, you can complain about the every team needs a player type argument, but it's still a big, big deal. Otherwise, we would not have spent, 30 minutes talking about, I think Isaac Paredes should have been there. Where's Juan Soto? It still means a lot to all these players. I guarantee you it still means a lot to Kershaw to still be an all-star.
Yeah. Do you, fuck. Well, now that there's no home court or home field advantage, do you agree with the every team deserves an all-star thing? Because I think it made sense if there's home field advantage involved, but if there's not, then what's the point?
Well, every team needs an all-star because the rosters are big, and you can fit basically everybody in there because every team, I'll admit it, Shane Smith, not necessarily been an all-star this year, for being perfectly honest, but Hunter Goodman deserves it. You can argue all you want about Ellie over Trey and Geraldo Perdomo, but he's still been a good player this year. So give the spotlight to him. Brendan Donovan deserves the spot. Byron Buxton, Ryan O'Hearn deserve a spot. Jacob deGrom absolutely deserves a spot. Yusei Kikuchi, you can argue it, but has been borderline enough to say where he deserves a spot is, everybody. Even Kyle Stowers has been phenomenal this year. Paul Skeens, lone representative for the Pirates. Obviously, he's going to make it. You want to give every team a reason to watch. How do you think or was Laurie an All-Star in his Jazz tenure?
Yes. Yeah, he was. Which I thought was BS. I'm not going to lie. But
okay, how do you think? No, because LaMelo, they make art. How do you think Portland Trailblazer fans feel watching the All-Star game? You don't have anybody.
I think Melo made it a year. I just feel like baseball fans are gonna watch the All-Star game. If I'm a who could I even say? Where's Hunter Goodman play at? Right?
He plays for the worst team in the league, the Colorado Rockies.
If I'm a Rockies fan, I'm probably not watching for Hunter Goodman. I'm watching to watch the All-Star game.
No, you're watching for Hunter Goodman because I have friends in the state, and they are over the moon that Hunter Goodman made the All-Star team. He is the one bright spot on that horrible, sad, pathetic excuse for a team.
But, okay, then let me argue this, right? Let's say it wasn't where every team gets a player. Wouldn't it hit more if Hunter Goodman was an All-Star despite the team being bad? No, because how are you gonna be over the moon if you know that he's gonna be an All-Star?
Well, because you don't necessarily 100% have it confirmed. Here we go, Hunter Goodman, fourth best WRC plus in baseball. But the problem is not a lot of people are watching Rockies games.
Yeah,
to the point where I know who Hunter Goodman is, but I'm a sicko.
Who would be the NBA comparison?
LaMelo Ball.
Yeah,
we can agree Charlotte is the worst team in the NBA right now.
LaMelo, but people know LaMelo because he's cool,
Okay.
Laurie. I don't know. I don't know if there's an NBA. All the shit teams like Washington, and I guess Laurie would be the comparison.
Yeah.
If I were a Jazz fan, I would probably be lit because I probably didn't expect Laurie to be an All-Star, Because
I think if Hunter Goodman wasn't having the year he was, it may have been Seth Halverson as the Rockies representative here. So to have the actually good player on your team make it, the White Sox. I don't mean to pick on the dude. He's an All-Star. I'll never be one. Shane Smith has a 4.20 ERA. I get it, 4.20, haha, funny, but that is not an All-Star.
What was I about to say? Do you think Hunter Goodman would have been an All-Star if it wasn't team-oriented?
I think he would have. I think he would have for sure.
That's what I'm trying to say. I feel like that would hit a little more than we know we're gonna get a representative and Hunter Goodman's our only good player.
Yeah,
but I need to watch some Hunter Goodman now.
Yeah, do watch some Hunter Goodman. But even the historically terrible White Sox team from last year, the worst team in MLB history, they still had an All-Star who deserved it. At the end of the day, Garrett Crochet was more than deserving to be an All-Star for that White Sox team last year.
Yeah.
So it's just about making
that's fair.
Sure everybody's there.
Yeah. I don't love that everybody loves. No participation awards. This is sports. Yeah.
If participation trophies were a thing, I'd have so many World Series to celebrate.
Well, guys, thank you guys so much for listening to. Wait, you didn't have nothing else, right?
No, I'm good.
Thank you guys for listening to me and Joseph's All-Star reactions. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, join the Discord. Code RTP on Boom Fantasy. Get you a risk-free bet up to $100. All that. Joseph, we're going to get into recording, but do you have anything else to say?
Wait, I think we did promise the viewers a boom bet.
You're right. Let me pull it up. Now, to be honest, my Boom account is kind of empty right now, but I got enough to put I'll put $1 down on something.
Easy.
Who plays
Is
today?
they have a discounted Hunter Brown versus Cleveland, 5.5 strikeouts. Take the over for
Okay.
sure on that one. And then
Okay.
Juan Soto, I'll take the over on total bases against Baltimore. Is they don't have pitching, so let's go over on Hunter Brown and Juan Soto.
All right, let's get this wheel spinning, and we'll get out of your face. Give me 500x, a $1, 500 times your money parlay. Here we go. Oh, this looks good on the screen. I'm not gonna lie. $2. It's okay, man. We had fun spinning it. Hey, shout out Joseph. He knows ball. Shout out me because I feel like I did a lot better this week. Would you say?
You did do a lot better.
There you go. If I get 50% better by next week, then I'm at 100%. I'm the best baseball moderator alive.